every time I competed, there were at least three people that had better genetics than I had, but they didn't do what I was willing to do to win. And one of the sayings I had, my friend, was this: I am willing to do today what nobody else is, so I can do tomorrow when nobody else can.
Mm.
We have gifts and skills that we don't realize. We just never maximize them. We haven't been trained to do that. See, a lot of people think when you go through pain, it's time to give up. No, remember, Ron, pain is where you get started, buddy. This is painful. Here we go. Let's work through it.
First off, based on our last chat, it got me thinking about, and I'm talking about when we did our podcast together, you were talking about winning and how much you loved winning. And that was a big thing for your consecutive wins as a 21-time natural bodybuilding world champion. And it got me thinking about how can we take that conversation and elaborate on that with respects to winning in life, like not just bodybuilding and competitions, but how can we take that same mentality, that same energy, that enthusiasm that you had when you wanted to win in your bodybuilding shows? And I know there's a lot of people listening that can take value from what you're about to elaborate on, but take that and apply it to your life. Whether it's you want to start a business, whether it's your work, achieving your dreams, whatever it may be. And I think you're the perfect man to talk about this with.
Awesome, man. I went over, Alibaba, that company Alibaba took me over to France, Paris for the Olympics. And part of the reason why is because I went from the ghetto to actually becoming a world champion and that winning mentality, how to go from being an athlete to an entrepreneur and take some of those same skills and use them in business. So, like you said, it's about winning, period. That's what I do. I mean, I just want to win, man. There's a song that I used to tease about. I haven't done it in a while. That says, all I do is win, win, win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that
Yeah.
song. I know that track.
Yeah, yeah. When that song first came out, it was my like one of my favorite songs. All I do is win, win, win. I love to win, man. Even when I became a Christian, that part stayed. Like a lot of people lose their competitive edge. But yeah, God never intended for us to lose.
Have you had someone who's come to you, they said, Ron, I feel like I've lost that competitive edge. What would you do with a person like that? Where do you start with someone like that?
First, I would go to the root of the problem, find out why they lost the competitive edge, what caused it. Was it a bout of depression? Was it that they lost? Was it a series of losses? What caused them to give up? That's where I would start. I would get to the root of the problem because if you deal with just the surface of the problem is going to stay there. It has a right to be there. Yeah, but when you deal with the root of the problem, just like a dandelion, if you cut the dandelion down, it comes right back. But if you do some weed and feed and kill the root, the problem that you thought was there, it's already dead under the ground and it slowly falls away. So you have to deal with the root of the problem first.
So if we're talking about winning and we're talking about winning in life and winning in the circumstances like, well, you gave a great example. You took yourself from the ghetto and you accomplished great things outside of just bodybuilding. Now you got flown out to, you said it was France specifically for the Olympics. And well, for the listeners, give a little bit of a synopsis how that was. What was that experience like? And then we'll transition back to this winning conversation.
Well, one is I really, really enjoyed being in France, seeing the athletes, seeing them compete. Oh, man, it was just so awesome. And the atmosphere. And the thing I really loved about it is it didn't matter what country you were from. There was no prejudice there. You had people that were rooting for Mexico that was from the Netherlands and whole sections standing up and cheering, for every country that was in competition. And so I just loved the atmosphere and that competitive, the way it shot the atmosphere. I mean, it was just beautiful, man.
Did you get a chance to watch some of these events that took place? I know that you mentioned track. That was something that you were doing a little bit of when you were competing as far as the cardio side and for building your legs. You talked about that last time. But did you get a chance to watch some of these events?
Yeah, I got a chance to watch some of the events, especially the swimming, the diving,
Hmm.
volleyball. I was a swimmer and a diver. I actually ran track for the military, and I was on the swimming and diving team for the military. So I really enjoyed that, man, and just seeing the competitiveness that they had, and also that being a part of my background, knowing what it required for them to get where they were and to be at the top of their game. It was really something special.
I can only imagine I haven't been able to experience that in person, obviously being at an event like that. With regards to the track, what did you run specifically? What events?
Crazy. I ran the 100 and 200. I was built for that, but they even made me run the 400
Oh,
because of the heart. I just believe, well, one thing, the body will adapt and adjust, but the 400, they call that the man's race because it's not forgiving. And back in those days, what we did is you would run 300 meters as hard as you could, and whoever had the most gas left in the tank, they would float across, the finish line. But I ran the 400 completely different. My thought process was this is going to be painful, but this is pain that I can control. And I'm used to pain. Pain is not an enemy. To me, pain is a friend. If I can manage pain better than the next person, I would win. And so that's what I concentrated and focused on doing, managing pain better than the next person. And so they would run as fast as they could for 300 meters. And then the pain set in, they would slow down. I would stick with them for the first 300 meters. And when the pain started, that's where I turned it on. So I ran and won a lot of races that my body was not built to run.
can you relate or attribute that to mindset, that last 100 meters where that pain is kicking in and people are starting to give up because it's just too painful, right? The fatigue is accumulated. But for you, you said, nah, I'm gonna turn this up a notch. Is that literally training your mind to be able to tolerate that at that point? How much is that is physical versus mental?
I'm gonna tell you, it's 100%. Once you hit that last 100 meters, back in those days, it was 100% mental. And it's how you looked at it. See, we're programmed from being really young on moving away from pain. We're programmed that way. Our parents program us and life programs us to move away from pain. And what I mean by that is our parents, they raise us, they say, we want you to get a career, we want you to get a college education, we want you to have a picket fence and that nice house. And they try to train us and teach us to get educated so we can make life easier. We're always trying to find, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. And oftentimes when our kids start things, like our daughter started in piano, and after a while she said, I don't like piano. I'm going to quit. And my wife says, okay, you can quit. I'm like, no, there's no quitting. We start something, we paid for it, and we're going to follow through and we're going to finish it. I don't want you to learn how to start things and quit. I want you to push through those hard things because life is not easy, man. You're going to have to push through some things if you want to be successful and effective. You don't quit everything. Yeah.
That's brilliant. You know how much of that can be transferred? We talked about life right now, but how much you look at sports, you look at bodybuilding, the end of a set when it's really painful, or the amount of volume you are doing in a specific workout, whether it's intensity, volume, frequency, you're going in the gym every day because you're training for a competition. How much of that could be taken, extracted, and applied into these life circumstances like you're mentioning, so that you could actually succeed in life, whatever that may mean to you, but whether it's financially, well, you mentioned it last time, faith, family, let's see
Fitness,
if fitness and
finances.
finances. There we
Yeah.
go. So it's not just about fitness. And for those tuning in, that's why we're talking about this today, because we talk a lot about the fitness side, but how much can we really take that fitness and apply it to our life so we can have a complete life, a fulfilled life with purpose and meaning, right?
I'm going to ask you a question. There's a 45-pound bar, Olympic bar, that you can use on bench press, and it'll hold 500 pounds. There's a 1,000-pound bar that weighs 45 pounds also, and you use that on the bench press. What is the difference between a bar that can hold 500 pounds and a bar that can hold 1,000 pounds? The difference is the 500-pound bar is more brittle. And when you put more than 500 pounds on it, it has the ability to break. The same material, but it can hold 1,000 pounds. When you exceed the 500 pounds, it has the ability to bend. It bends because it's been in the fire longer. It's been tempered. So when you get to a certain level of competition, everybody has the same skill. Everybody has the same genetics. The only difference is one is willing to go a little bit further. They've been tempered and they can handle the pressure. So I want to be that guy who is tempered and not willing to give up. Sometimes you see a guy on stage and he's winning an award for the best business of the year. You look at that guy and say, hey, I'm as smart as he is. I mean, I look better than him. I'm this, I'm that. I mean, we don't see what he's doing
Mm.
when he's not on stage. We don't see what he's doing in the wee hours of the night. We don't see the candle that's being burned on both ends and the willing that he's just not willing to give up. We don't see that part. All we see is his smile on stage. So it's what he's doing in secret that causes him to stand out publicly.
I love that. I love that. And for those tuning in, you already know when you see someone like Ron Williams up on stage, if we take that back to bodybuilding for a second, you don't see all the hours of training and all the hours that he's putting in the kitchen to prepare the meals and get his sleep in and all this stuff. That's a 24-hour job back in your competitive days. No, no. But then they want to say genetics or they want to just attribute it to, oh, he's one of the lucky ones. Well, genetics, yeah, plays a part, but we can't take away all that sacrifice if you want to call it that. Some people won't even call it that because they just love the process so much, not sacrifice to them. But that is brilliantly said. It's what you're doing when nobody's really watching. And
Right.
because, right, right. So let's talk about visualization here, unless you wanted to
And
elaborate. Yeah, you come back.
yeah, I want
Yeah.
to elaborate on that. And that is when you're on stage, you see that part of the person, but nobody really gets to see what's being done in the dark. The way you put that, it was just brilliant. And we have to realize that we have gifts and skills that we don't realize. We just never maximize them. We haven't been trained to do that. And that's what I did. I trained myself to maximize what I had. Every time I stood on stage, I looked at all of the competitors. And I promise you, every time I competed, there were at least three people that had better genetics than I had. But they didn't do what I was willing to do to win. And one of the sayings I had, my friend, was this: I am willing to do today what nobody else is, so I can do tomorrow when nobody else can.
Hmm. I saw that. I was going to bring that up today. I saw that on your Instagram recently. You posted that quote, and I thought that was so well said. I'm going to find it right now. I want to see. Did you elaborate on that? I'm willing to do today what others won't, so that tomorrow I can do what others can't. There you go. What are you doing today that will propel you to achieve your goals and set you apart in faith, family, fitness, and finances? I love that. That's brilliant.
And the thing with that is, like, in the beginning, people ask the question, why, why? But after you accomplish it, the question changes. It's how. When I became a 21-time world champion, when I was preparing to become a 21-time world champion, people were saying, why? Why are you eating like that? Why are you training so hard? Why won't you go a 24-hour period without working out? You're doing too much. I mean, this is too hard on the body. And that was the question in the beginning, why? And then all of a sudden, when I become 21-time world champion, it changes. They say, how in the world did you do that? How? How? Well, I was willing to do what others weren't, so I can do what others can't. Because you have to train the muscles in such a way, build the mitochondria where your capacity is much greater than the next person. And you can't just do that overnight. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. I found that to be the same in my marriage. See, there's some things
Mm.
sometimes when I've had struggles in my marriage and it was painful, but I'm a master of pain, man. I'm master pain. This is where I live. See, a lot of people think when you go through pain, it's time to give up. No, remember, Ron, pain is where you get started, buddy. This is painful. Here we go. Let's work through it. I relax into it and I do what I do, man.
That's so nice, man. I really love that because again, you're talking about like, let's say you're taking a set to failure in an exercise. We're talking failure. You can't complete that other rep. It's like 5 reps before that pain kicked in, and you're enduring and you're enduring. You've trained yourself to endure that set after set after set, workout after workout, week after week, month after month. If you're putting in those hard training sessions. Now, if we can just open up our minds for a second and take that and apply it to what you just said, how awesome will your life start to be? You built this amazing body. What about this amazing family, this amazing business, this amazing financial situation that you want to build for yourself? We got to take that love from bodybuilding and apply it in all aspects, right?
Mm, that's right. That's right. And it's
Great.
transferable. You can transfer that thing, man. If you just have to relate them together and just remember. And that's what I do. I talk to myself. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I talk to myself. I says, is this where you quit? Are you a quitter? Is that what you do? No, that's not who I am. I don't quit. I don't give up. You love that woman and she loves you. You're just going through a struggle. You don't quit. Now go in there and do what you do. Hey,
Mm.
baby, we need to talk.
I love that. I know so many people can probably relate to that. But the thing is, it's how many have opened up their mind to take what they've maybe are doing in bodybuilding and do what you just said and do the thing that you do. So I can't imagine this won't be helpful for everybody tuning in who's at that level. Maybe the young kids are like, ah, no, I'm not interested in that. No, you better. You're gonna. One day it's coming. So you better start now. I think that's the best way because why wait, right? I wish I had these skills 10 years back, but no one was talking to me in my ear like this, right? So let's hope that even the young kids tuning in are extracting some of this and applying it into all aspects of their life too.
And what I've learned is the younger you do it, because if you take cement and when you first pour that cement, it's pliable. So when you're young, you're more pliable. But once it becomes solid and it's hard, it's harder to adapt and adjust. You can do it, but it's harder. You have to break it up and then readjust it. But when you're young, it's easier to get those principles inside and then just live those principles out.